From the misty hills of pre-Roman Britain to the bustling, vibrant cities of modern-day England, the story of England is one filled with myths, legends, and fascinating transformations. It begins not with the Romans, nor even with the Anglo-Saxons, but with ancient tribes whose origins remain shrouded in mystery. Imagine standing on the chalky cliffs of Dover over 2,000 years ago, looking out across the choppy waters of the English Channel. Here, an isolated land lay ripe for the arrival of new civilizations, each one leaving a profound mark that helped shape the rich cultural tapestry of England as we know it today. Our story truly kicks off with the arrival of the Romans in 43 AD. Julius Caesar had attempted an invasion nearly a century earlier, but it was Emperor Claudius who finally succeeded, sending Roman legions across the Channel to establish what would be Roman Britain. The Romans brought with them not only military might but a sophisticated infrastructure that would forever alter the British landscape. They founded cities like Londinium, now known as London, and constructed vast networks of roads, walls, and elaborate bathhouses. Imagine the impact on local tribes who, having lived relatively isolated lives, were suddenly faced with this overwhelming force and advanced technology. However, despite their advancements, Roman Britain was not as peaceful or glamorous as we might picture. The idea of a smooth Roman rule over the region is misleading in reality. This was a period of constant conflict with native tribes who fiercely resisted the Roman presence. One such rebellion was led by the legendary Boudica, the queen of the Iceni tribe, who remains an icon of resistance. Her fiery uprising against the Romans, while ultimately unsuccessful, became a symbol of defiance and resilience. Under her command, thousands rallied to drive out the Roman forces, and in the process, Boudica's forces burned Londinium to the ground. Even today, she's a legendary figure whose fierce defiance continues to inspire stories and myths. Boudica's story reflects a recurring theme in England's history, the spirit of rebellion and resilience against foreign powers, which would become a hallmark of the English identity. As the Roman Empire weakened in the 5th century, the legions abandoned Britain, leaving the land vulnerable and open to new influences. This moment is crucial in English history because it set the stage for the next wave of significant cultural change, the Anglo-Saxon period. Many hold a romanticized view of this period, imagining a purely Anglo-Saxon England. However, this vision doesn't capture the complexity of the time. The Anglo-Saxons, originating from what is now Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands, were not a single, unified group but a collection of tribes with distinct identities, languages, and cultures. They didn't just conquer, they also intermingled with the remaining Roman British population, resulting in a fusion of cultural practices and beliefs that laid the foundation for English culture. It's during this period that we hear the tales of King Arthur. Although modern depictions often present Arthur as a heroic, almost mythical figure wielding the sword Excalibur to protect his people, historical evidence suggests Arthur may have been a Celtic warrior resisting the advance of Anglo-Saxon tribes. Or perhaps he was a composite of multiple figures, with stories passed down and embellished over generations. Regardless of his true identity, the legend of King Arthur symbolizes the cultural blending of this era and reflects a deep desire to preserve the British way of life against outside influence. By the late 8th century, the Viking Age had begun, and England faced yet another wave of new rivals. The Norse from Scandinavia brought their own gods, customs, and craftsmanship to English shores, altering the English landscape, language, and culture. Towns like York, once a Roman and Anglo-Saxon stronghold, transformed into bustling Norse settlements. The Norse were not just raiders, as they're often portrayed, but also settlers, farmers, and traders who integrated into Anglo-Saxon society over time. This period gave rise to remarkable figures like King Alfred the Great, who is famous for his resistance against the Norse invasions. Alfred was not only a warrior, but also a visionary leader who promoted learning and legal reform, laying the foundation for a unified English kingdom. His contributions to law, education, and governance were so significant that he earned the title the Great, a distinction shared by very few English monarchs. The next major shift came in 1066 with the Norman Conquest. After the death of Edward the Confessor, England faced a succession crisis, and William, Duke of Normandy, claimed the throne. This led to the famous Battle of Hastings, where William's forces defeated King Harold II, marking the end of Anglo-Saxon rule and the beginning of Norman influence. With the Normans came radical transformations in English society. They introduced the feudal system, fundamentally altering the social and economic structure. French became the language of the elite, and the legal system was reshaped, with new laws that strengthened royal power. The iconic Tower of London was built as both a fortress and a symbol of Norman authority. Despite the upheaval, the Normans brought agricultural advancements and innovations that contributed to economic growth. However, Norman rule was marked by stark social divisions and tensions, and the process of integrating the Anglo-Saxon and Norman cultures was not without conflict. As the centuries rolled on, England faced the devastating Black Death, which killed nearly a third of the population, and internal conflicts like the Wars of the Roses. Out of this period of turmoil emerged the Tudor dynasty, with Henry V as its first king. Under the Tudors, England entered the Renaissance and eventually the Protestant Reformation. One of the most infamous monarchs, Henry V, is known for his 6 marriages and the profound changes he made to English religion and governance. By breaking from the Catholic Church and establishing the Church of England, Henry set the stage for centuries of religious conflict that would shape English identity and politics. Henry's daughter, Elizabeth I, further cemented England's place on the world stage. Known as the Virgin Queen, Elizabeth navigated complex political alliances, successfully defended England against the Spanish Armada, and presided over a flourishing cultural era known as the Elizabethan Age. However, her image as a Virgin Queen may have been a strategic decision rather than a personal one, designed to strengthen her rule in a male-dominated world. During her reign, England's navy became one of the strongest in Europe, setting the stage for future exploration and the foundation of the British Empire. This era was also marked by cultural achievements, with figures like William Shakespeare, whose works would have a lasting impact on literature worldwide. In the 17th century, England was plunged into a bitter civil war between royalists and parliamentarians. The trial and sentencing of King Charles I in 1649 was a shocking event, as it marked the first time a monarch was put on trial and removed by his own people. This dramatic shift led to the rise of Oliver Cromwell as protector, who ruled with strict Puritan principles. The monarchy was eventually restored, but the Civil War had permanently altered England's political landscape, emphasizing the power of Parliament over the monarchy. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 further solidified this shift, leading to a constitutional monarchy that limited the king's power and increased Parliament's authority. This period of political stability set the stage for the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. During the 18th and 19th centuries, England transformed from an agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse. Factories sprang up, cities expanded, and inventions like the steam engine revolutionized transportation and daily life. This rapid industrialization led to harsh working conditions, particularly for children and young people, who often labored in factories for long hours under dangerous conditions. The Industrial Revolution also fueled England's expansion overseas, resulting in a global empire with colonies across Africa, Asia, and the Americas. In modern history, England faced the devastation of 2 world wars, playing a pivotal role in both conflicts. The Blitz during World War I left London and other cities in ruins, yet the resilience of the English people shone through as they rebuilt their country from the rubble. The end of the war marked the decline of the British Empire, as former colonies gained independence and England began reshaping itself as a modern, multicultural society. In recent years, England has grappled with questions of identity, from Brexit to debates over its colonial past, illustrating the nation's continued evolution. And so, from a land of ancient tribes to a global powerhouse, the story of England is anything but simple. It is a history filled with resilience, adaptation, and transformation. England's journey reflects not just the story of a single nation, but the broader human quest for power, freedom, and identity. England's history offers both cautionary tales and inspiring lessons, capturing the essence of a complex and ever-evolving culture. This story of triumph, tragedy, myth, and reality invites us to explore the rich tapestry of English heritage, reminding us of the enduring legacy of a nation that has continually shaped and been shaped by the world around it.